But the thing is far more people are actually afraid of the success than they are of the failure. And we don't get to know that aspect, that side of ourselves that's actually scared of who we become and what changes in our lives if we're successful. If I've said it once, I'm going to say it 1,020 billion more times. It's really not that you're afraid of failure. It's that you're afraid of success, which sounds like, not really, Kayla. That's exactly what I'm chasing. I am working so hard to be successful. But the thing is far more people are actually afraid of the success than they are of the failure. And it's something we don't talk about very much. We don't teach about it. We don't hear that much about it. And we oftentimes actually reject it for ourselves. We think that's not for me. Like I said, I am out here grinding every day. I'm doing all the things to make me successful. So why in the world would you think that I am scared of success? That's what I'm chasing. That's what I want. That's what's going to fulfill me. That is what's there. Right? But we just don't talk about it nearly enough. Right? We don't get to know that aspect, that side of ourselves that's actually scared of who we become and what changes in our lives if we're successful. And by not focusing on that, guess what happens? You become wrapped in all the ways that you're going to fail. You start to be this self-fulfilling prophecy because you absolutely cannot step into a level of success. You can't step into the next level that you're unaware of what you're scared of. It just doesn't happen. Or if you do, you're going to derail it. So sorry, Charlie, we have to address it, right? Why don't we talk about this side that much other than the fact that you guys don't like it? Maybe some of you are disagreeing with me, but stay on, right? Follow me through this because I promise you're going to take something away. You're going to get to see that perspective shift that maybe you've been waiting for a very long time to get to experience. So just hold on with me for a little bit longer. Success is something that becomes very elusive, right? It's something that it's really hard to picture. And we think about it in these really grand gestures. So we think about it as far as like wealth and maybe like our business size. So we can see it in that, which is wonderful. It's a great visual, but it's not something that we've experienced. It's so far in the future that it becomes really difficult for us to understand what that looks like and what that feels like. And so we fight it in various ways. We fight that feeling of success in different ways. And then we oftentimes start to focus on all the things that we're scared of. But we look at them through the lens of we're scared of them if we fail, instead of we're scared of them if we succeed. So, what do I mean by that? When we think about that fear of success and where it's rooted at, it's deeply rooted in this idea that if I attain a level of success, I have to leave something else behind. Right. And yeah, a lot of times you're like, oh, I want to leave this house behind and this car and this environment and all this different stuff so I can have that success. But really, what I'm talking about here is deeper than that. It means you have to leave a belief of yours behind. You have to shatter a paradigm that you've built, a very firm foundation of how you see yourself and how you see your world. So if you're seeing yourself right now through a lens of not being successful, it becomes so elusive to see the world through that same lens of this non-success here and then see it as success because it's built on you not believing in yourself. It's built on you discrediting your skills and your abilities and your intelligence and your capabilities, right? So if it's built on that, then you can't step into this higher level of success. It just can't happen. We're going to do everything. Our subconscious mind is going to do everything it possibly can to derail that growth. So you have to be willing to evaluate that. So what does that look like? What are those subtle signs that you are unconsciously sabotaging and avoiding growth? Now, a lot of pushback comes because people are like, I am growing. I am moving. I am changing. I am doing these things. I'm working so hard. So I can't be scared of success. What I challenge you to do is look at the really subtle ways that you are avoiding it. Right? Because we don't know who we are to be able to sustain things sometimes. How do you sustain success if you don't think you're worthy or capable of it? How do you create this massive amount of wealth if you think that it's not for you? That if you have a belief that it's just not meant for you. And this can be so subtle here because you can be thinking in your mind, I'm worthy of success. I'm worthy of wealth. All these different things, all these beautiful affirmations go through your head. Yet somewhere, some belief is still deeply rooted, but it's not for you. But it's just not enough. It takes a lot of hard work. Right? What will they think? How will you sustain it? Right? If you say you're busy now, right, the mind can't wrap its mind around now having 4 times more work, right? Or 4 times more money to manage. It's these small, subtle things that become so elusive to us that we shift out of them. And they're deeply rooted in our beliefs, which means they come from our subconscious mind, right? We're not consciously thinking of them, which is why it gets overlooked so much. That's why nobody talks about it as often, because we think about the failures and we think about the things we want to avoid because that's so prevalent. Like, we don't want to get up there and fail. We don't want people to laugh at us. We don't want people not to like us. We don't want people not to accept us. That's so at the forefront of our conscious minds. So that's what we think we're scared of. But if you go deeper, you're scared of what happens if you unearth the things in your subconscious mind of actually confirming that you're not good enough. Right? What if you get all this success and then you realize that you can't sustain it, or that you realize that your skill set wasn't, strong enough to uphold that level of success? Or once you get to that level of success, you're even more visible. And how can you manage that when you're barely managing the visibility that you have now? How much more vulnerable will it be? How much further will the fall be if you reach that level of success? So if you're scared now and your audience is small numbers, imagine what that fear will be if you don't address it. And your audience is 10, 15, 30, 100x times it is now. That's what I'm talking about when we're scared of success, right? We're not managing the fears and the beliefs and the worries now. And so it's so hard for us to see and experience what it will be later. So you have to do that work. You have to be willing to step into it. You can't be so afraid of what that might look like or feel like and experience it. So now what do we do when we're aware that we're a little scared of success? Right? That's fine. Right? There's a level, it's uncertain, it's unknown. We don't know what's there. Right? We don't know what it looks like. That's fine. We can accept that. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to say, no, I'm not scared. Yeah, you're scared. It's you don't know what to do. You've never experienced it, so that's fine. But how do we shift into this like CEO level decision making? Right? How do we step into that? How do we stop being scared? How do we stop operating out of fear of success and step into the embracing it? Well, one, like I've said already, that you have to do that work to remove the fears and the doubts. Then you also have to accept that's a little scary, that things might change when you become successful, right? You might have more visibility. You probably will, right? So what do you need to work on now? How can you overcome those limitations and those beliefs that you have about yourself now so you can really step into higher level of decision making as you move forward, as you level up, as you become the success that you want? What even is success? One thing is really determining what that looks like for you, creating your own definition of that. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And when you start to understand what it feels like within your body, what comes up as a fear? What are the limitations that then might arise from the subconscious to the conscious mind? And how can you shift them and change your relationship with them? But you can't do this unless you're aware of it, unless you're really willing to look at what you are afraid of. And by not being willing to look at it, it costs us time, and time costs us money. Right? We stay small, we stay limited, we derail our progress, we really lean into something like imposter syndrome or self-sabotage. Instead of just embracing this idea that success can be absolutely terrifying, right? Failure can be absolutely terrifying. And you can step into all of it. You can step into the challenge. You can embody that leader, that CEO leader, that energy, that level of success, that version of you that's already felt it and is experiencing it. You can embody that today. And when you embody that success today, you become it in the future. You don't have to wait for the external world to say, yes, you're successful. You can say, yes, I'm successful and I'm going to have it. Then it's going to be apparent in my external world because I feel it in my internal world. But to feel that internal success, one, you can't be scared of it. You can't be rejecting it and repelling it because of unconscious fears, right? So you have to address those fears and then you can step into it much more freely, much more openly, and really receive what is already on its way to you. Right, so let me know where you're at. Do you feel like you are feeling that loosening of that fear of success? Right, what does that look like for you? How can you really embody that higher level of leader that you are so you can step into this higher level of leadership and success today?